Hi, hello, and welcome back to my new little corner of the internet. I am so happy you're here. It is finally time to pick out my March TBR, and I'm so excited because I'm doing something a little bit different this month. There's a couple things that I know I absolutely will be reading, but I feel like everything else for March, it's kind of up to chance. Like, I'm open to anything. So I found this on TikTok Shop and decided to order it. It is a book bingo TBR scratch off. I have no idea what any of the things are, but from my understanding, you scratch off one of these little circles, kind of like a lottery ticket, and then it'll give you a prompt, and then you pick a book on your physical TBR based on the prompt. And my physical TBR is actually overflowing. Like, I think if you guys found out how bad it is, you'd be sick. You'd be sick. But I'm just supporting independent bookstores. I'm just supporting booksellers. Like, what can I say? What can I say? I'm an ambitious girly. I have big dreams. But in March, I thought it would be so fun to do this just to kind of spice it up. I've been really into reading like different things recently. I feel like most of last year, I was predominantly a romance reader, getting into like thriller mysteries. I found out that was a genre that I really like. But recently, I feel like I've been exploring way more genres. I'm reading a science fiction. I've been reading more fantasies and just kind of other things. Also, I'm trying to get into more literary fiction in 2025 as well. So I felt like this would be perfect to just kind of diversify my TBR. I do already have some things planned for this month, so we're gonna go through those first, but then we'll get into this. Let me turn you a little bit this way. So I have my TBR cart here, and these are kind of either things that I'm in the middle of or things that I do really want to try to get to on the top here. Absolutely mandatory read for the month of March is The Hunger Games. I was not a big reader, honestly, when I was younger. I had like a phase where I really enjoyed reading, but I fell out of it. But The Hunger Games was a series that I really loved reading, and I know and I remember that I really loved it. I want to reread the original trilogy as well as The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I actually never read that one because I just wasn't a reader at the time when it came out. And then she has a new book coming out in March that's from Hamish's perspective when he was in the games, which I think is going to be so freaking good. I feel like when I read this when I was younger, I was more just reading it for kind of the plot and the things that were happening, the fact that it was such an action-packed book. Reading it as an adult, you're just looking at it through a whole new lens. Like, Suzanne Collins is such a talented writer. So many politics in the Hunger Games series that I just know my little younger brain did not pick up on. I really want to read all 4 of these books at the beginning of March and then read her new book all back to back to back. That's kind of how the beginning of my March is going to look for the most part. It's just all dedicated to The Hunger Games. Another book that I know I will absolutely be reading in March is Our Infinite Fates by Laura Steven. This is my book club's March book club pick, and I'm actually so excited for it. I also am getting a special edition of it in one of my book boxes, so I'm super excited for that. I'm really bad about reading the books that come in my book boxes, but me having to read one because of book club is like perfect. That worked out so well. Absolute must read for March because it's my book club book, so that will also be on the March TBR. And then the next 2 things are not necessarily mandatory reads, but they are things that I'm mentally putting onto my March TBR. I feel like these are 2 series that have been on my shelf for a while. I've been wanting to get to them both for a while. I've kind of been in a fantasy mood, so I do really want to read Fourth Wing, but I also am kind of in an emotional torment mood, so I kind of want to read The Boys of Tommen. I really do want to start at least one of these series in March. I feel like that is kind of ambitious because I am reading the entire Hunger Games series in March, but I'm gonna put these on my mental TBR. I really do want to start one of these series in March. I am not much of a series girl, honestly. As of 2024, I did not really read that many series. However, I have so many. Like, I own so many series, so that's definitely something that I'm trying to do, is get through the series that I own. And these 2 I feel like are highly anticipated, highly talked about, highly loved. I'm feeling really bad FOMO, so these are on the March TBR. Those are all the books that I am personally putting on my March TBR. They're defaulting on there. I really want to try to read them. So now it's time to get into the scratch off. I have my quarter. I'm ready to go. There's 5 different categories on this one. It says from my TBR, based on appearance, influences, all about you, and other. I feel like since I already have some things defaulted on my March TBR, we should just do 1 from each category. I feel like 5 books is good to add. I'm also the world's worst mood reader. I'm kind of bad about sticking to my TBRs, but I feel like in March, I really want to try to stick to it. So let's do, I don't know, what are we feeling? This is kind of what we're working with. Just is going on the top row. I feel like that's boring. We need to just pick random ones. Okay, first I'm gonna scratch off 1 from my TBR. We're gonna go with spot number 2. This one right here. It's calling me, it's calling me. Okay, here we go. I feel like this is the TBR jar, but I don't have to put in any work, so I kind of love that. Ooh, okay, it says, book that you've owned for more than a year. I have to think about this one because I'm really bad about buying books. Like, what books have I owned for a really long time? It would have had to be something that I bought at the very beginning of my reading journey. Okay, I have something in mind, but I don't really want to read it right now. But I've also been putting it off for so long that I think I should. Yeah, okay. This is kind of like my excess TBR shelf area situation. It is such a mess right now. I really need to reorganize it. But this is kind of what we're working with. This is the book that I'm gonna grab, Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. I've had it for so long, it didn't even have a publisher. My boyfriend actually got it for me, so let's grab this one and then head back to the chair. I'm back, I got the book. It is Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. This is a very popular series. I feel like a lot of people either love or hate the Knock 'Em Out series. And because people are so torn on it, I feel like it has kind of pushed me away from it. My boyfriend actually gifted this to me a few years ago when I first got into reading, and then I ended up falling out of reading again because I just got so busy with life. But now I'm back into reading and I've been putting this series off. Literally, this copy is so old. It doesn't even have a publisher. She's not even published by Bloom. You know what? He literally got me an indie published version of this. Like, that's kind of crazy to think about that I own this actually. I've been wanting to read it for a while because he actually gifted me a bunch of books and I read all of the other ones, just not this one. It's just because she's so thick. She intimidates me. It needs to get off the TBR, so I guess this is the time. We have a romance, we're adding it to the pile. And you know what? I'm scared, but I'm excited. So, first book on the TBR from the scratch off. Next category is based on appearance. And I'm feeling spot number 4 on this one. I don't know, she's calling to me. It says illustrated cover. Automatically that makes me go to romance, but I'm trying to think I can go a different direction. Actually, I know what book I'm gonna grab. I am gonna do a romance, and it's gonna be The Ex-Vows by Jessica Joyce. This is the last book in my Sisterhood of the Traveling Books, and I'm actually just being the worst member of this ever, and I have been putting this book off and not reading it. I honestly just forget that I need to read this, and then I read other things, and then it's the end of the month and I'm like, well shoot. So we're gonna put this. It is an illustrated cover. It has 2 people on the cover. It is actually so cute, and I've heard good things about this. There's also a lot of tabs from the girls who read it before me, so I think I'm gonna love it. I'm gonna throw it on the TBR yet again, but we will be getting it done in March. I'm manifesting that, speaking it into existence. I actually need to read it. Like, it's not even a I want to read it. No, I need to read it. I need to get this off of my TBR. So, The Ex-Vows by Jessica Joyce is book number 2. The next category is influences. I don't really know what that means or what we have in store here. Let's go spot number 3, right? It's literally the very center dot of this entire board. So, next book is recommended on social media. This is like everything. I have literally been told that I have book talk taste, which I feel like is kind of an insult, but you know what? Book Talk has good taste because literally every book you could ever imagine is on Book Talk. But for this one, I'm specifically gonna try to think about books that I purchased because I saw a book talker talking about them, like specifically was influenced to buy. Okay, I have a couple that I think would be good. Let me go to my TBR shelf and I'll come back. Okay, there's obviously a lot of romances that I have been influenced to buy from Book Talk, but I think I'm gonna try to stay away from that. This one, this one, this one. I have 4 books to pick from for this particular prompt because I am, how do you say, easily influenced. First, let's talk about these 2. They were both heavily influenced by Madison Kate. I just love her book recs and the way that she's so like passionate about the books that she talks about. After I saw her recommendations, I feel like I saw a ton of other people also really enjoying both of these books. So I have been wanting to read both of them for a while, but that is God of the Woods by Liz Moore and Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. I don't know too much about this. I think it's like a thriller or like suspenseful literary fiction, which really intrigues me. I don't know. The way that she was talking about it, I just felt like I needed to purchase this. I needed to read it at some point. So I am very intrigued about this. She does seem kind of lengthy, but I've really been wanting to read it for a while. So this is definitely a good option. Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater is like a Regency fantasy book, which I feel like is something that I would be absolutely obsessed with. It's also not that long. She's a quick, easy paperback, which I love. I love. I think this is the first book in an unfinished series though, which is not my favorite to read. However, I have really been wanting to read this, and it might be good to throw in like a light book. I don't know how heavy the romance is in this. I'm kind of worried that maybe it's a little bit romance heavy, and with the other romance books we have, maybe I won't want to read it, but I also am wanting to get into more fantasy, so I feel like this is still a good option. I'm gonna pick 2, I think, out of this category. That way I have 2 options. The next book is The Wedding People. I feel like I cannot stop seeing this on TikTok. When I first saw it, I feel like everyone was like 5 stars, 6 stars, best read ever, so good. Now that it's been out for a while, it's been kind of simmering. I feel like I've been seeing a little bit more people having some discourse on it. However, that doesn't matter to me. I still really do want to read this. Had it on my January, I think, and February TBR so far this year. So like, do I just throw her on the March TBR? Does she maybe get read? This is definitely more on the general / literary fiction side. Like I said, is a genre that I'm really trying to get into. Also, I think all of these are on my 25 for 2025, which is books that I want to try to read in 2025. So any of these would be perfect in theory. And the last book that I have is The Favorites by Lane Fargo. I'm gonna throw at least an ARC or an indie author on every TBR that I make. So this could be the perfect time for The Favorites. My friend Natalie also just read it and she has been raving about it so much. I've honestly seen so many good reviews for this. I'm kind of mad at myself for not reading it when I received it. I was just in a book slump at the time, so I didn't end up picking it up. But ever since it's come out, I have literally seen raving reviews. It's like, that's speaking to me. That's heavily speaking to me, you know? Okay, I definitely think I'm gonna pick The Favorites for this prompt, but I want to pick a second option out of these 3. Put back The Wedding People, so then we're between these 2, Half a Soul and God of the Woods. I think I'm gonna do Half a Soul because it's light, it's fun, it's easy, and it's fantasy, which I've been really vibing with recently. Okay, so I feel like this is kind of crazy, but I actually need to go pick up a book from somebody on Facebook Marketplace, so I'm actually gonna be right back. And then we'll continue picking out this TBR. Okay, I am back. I didn't think that was gonna take me quite as long, but somebody on Facebook Marketplace near me was selling the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition of Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. This book is out of print. It's been out of print for a really long time, and resellers are so bad. They mark it up so much, but she was selling it for literally lower than retail. Like, I could cry. I love like real readers. They're just the best people. We're back now, so let's get into the TBR. We've done 3 out of 5 of them. The next one is All About You, which once again, don't really know what to expect. I should go with number 1. So we're gonna do the first one in this category. Title starts with the first letter of your first name. Ooh, I don't know if I have that many books that start with a V. I might not have any books that fit this prompt, actually. Let me go look on my TBR shelves. There's one that I think I could make it work, but I'm not sure we're gonna have many options on this one. So let's go to the TBR shelves. I have Vow of Thieves, but that's the second in a duology and I haven't read the first one yet. So like, I can't do that one. Let's see. No other ones. Like this one has a V in it, but it doesn't start with a V. There's nothing in my lit fic. Okay. There's some more fantasy books up here. Once again, none of those start with V. These are some books that I have that are unsorted, but once again, none of these start with a V either. So we're kind of stuck there. It's kind of my more immediate reads. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, she's upside down, but yay! No, we found one. Okay, awesome. I actually didn't think we were gonna find one, but we did. Variation by Rebecca Yarros. I haven't read any Rebecca Yarros romances. I actually think that this is like romantic suspense. I think somebody recently, I heard say that, but my friend Hannah recently read this book and she loved it so much. It actually got her to read more romance books because she loved this one so much, and it's included in Kindle Unlimited, and the audiobook is included in Kindle Unlimited. So this is actually perfect. I completely forgot that I had this book. The other book I was thinking about was, I can't get it, but I have a book down here called The Viridian Priestess. And even though it technically starts with a T, because the like Viridian Priestess, like that was as close as we were gonna get. And it's by an indie author, but I think I am gonna go with Variation because that does actually start with a V, and I've been wanting to read this anyways, so that's actually so perfect. See, I love this. I'm loving this little scratch off game. This is so fun, and it's making me remember the books that I want to read. We're officially on to our very last category. It is the other category. I'm trying to do a different dot from each row, so that means that we're gonna do, oh, I dropped my quarter. So that means that we're gonna do the very bottom dot. This one says one word title. I feel like there's a lot of options for this one too. And I'm once again gonna go to my TBR shelf and pull a couple of things. So I think I'm gonna give myself options for this prompt as well. so I have a couple of different things to pick from and read. But let me go back to the TBR shelf and then I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna surprise you guys this time. Okay, I have pulled my options. I have 3 to pick from. So honestly, I think I might just throw all 3 of these on the TBR, but let's go through them. The first one is called Murderland by Caroline Fraser. This is an ARC that I got sent. It doesn't come out until May, but it's a terrifying true crime history of serial killers. It's actually a nonfiction book, and I'm usually not much of a nonfiction reader. However, this book is really interesting. It was presented to me as very much like thriller, true crime kind of vibes, and I don't know why, but that just really intrigues me. So I do kind of really want to read this. She is a thickie. She's a long one, and I feel like we already have some hefty books on here, but I feel like we don't have any thrillers or true crime vibes on my TBR so far. No, we do not. So I actually might put this one as an option, but let's go through the other 2 as well. First one is Legendborn by Tracy Dion. This is also on my 25 for 2025. I believe it's a dark academia fantasy book, and I don't know that much about it, but I've just heard nothing but good things. I really do want to read this book. I've been eyeing it for a while, and once again, I am trying to get into the more like fantasy books, so I feel like that could be perfect actually. And the last book I have is Heartless by Marissa Meyer. My boyfriend's little sister gifted me this book and she really loved it. Pretty sure that this is a storybook retelling. I want to say maybe it's the Queen of Hearts storybook retelling because it says in Wonderland, so I'm thinking maybe that's kind of what it is. But I've heard good things about this book. This is also an author that I've been wanting to try out one of her books for a while, so I feel like honestly I can't pick one. We're putting all 3 on the TBR. That way I can give myself some wiggle room for mood reading. All of these are just one-word titles though, so it does fit our theme. I'm really excited to read one of those this month. The TBR, she's stacked. She's stacked per usual. I like my TBRs unrealistic and overly ambitious. Not even gonna grab the Hunger Games books, honestly, just like evaluate the situation over here. But we also have all of these that we picked off my handy dandy TBR scratch off card. This is actually perfect at tackling my physical TBR, so I'm really excited to read all of these. I really want to be more consistent this month about posting on YouTube. I'm trying to get videos out weekly, so hopefully I'll get more reading updates kind of throughout the month. But I am so excited for my March month of reading. This TBR looks so good. Let me know what's on your TBR. I love hearing what you guys are reading, but I hope you guys are having the best day and happy reading.